Play Forza Motorsport 5 these days and you'll find a very different game to the one that launched alongside the Xbox One back in late 2013. Initially criticised for a lack of content and a cynical car buying system that forced you to either cough up real money or drive the equivalent of a trip to the fucking moon just to afford a mini metro, Forza 5 felt less like a definitive new gen racing experience and more like an unfinished money spinner. In the year and a half since though, Forza 5 has been improved. The snidey money system was massively overhauled, making it far less of an ordeal to unlock cars with in-game currency, and a bunch of free tracks were added, giving players access to the likes of the Nürburgring, Long Beach and Road America at no extra cost. Why am I wasting time telling you about Forza 5 when Forza 6 has just come out? Because those improvements made to the former have made the latter seem slightly less revolutionary. To someone like me who's already pumped well over 100 hours into Forza 5, parts of Forza 6 feel a bit more like a Game of the Year edition. Forza 5 launched with over 200 cars, and Forza 6 is over 400, but a lot of these new cars are really just Forza 5 DLC that's now available as standard, as well as some cars that were introduced in the spin-off game Forza Horizon 2. Likewise, the number of tracks has also increased to around 25, but this includes the 17 tracks from Forza 5, including those free DLC ones. So if you're buying Forza 6 purely for new content, you might be left a wee bit wanting. Where it does innovate is the new weather options, with both rain and night racing added for the first time in a proper Forza game. Now let's face it, racing in the dark is hardly a new experience, so that's not really a massive deal, other than the fact that the lighting looks quite nice. Wet weather isn't a new concept either, far from it, but it's what Forza 6 does with it that's brilliant. In most racing games, rain tends to do little more than look pretty and make your car's handling a wee bit slippery. Here actual puddles form on the track, and not just for decoration either. Go through a puddle head on, and the best case scenario is a drastic reduction in speed and a lovely wee splooshy noise that sort of makes you want to do it again, even though it fucks up your lap time. The worst case scenario though is aquaplaning. Hit a big puddle at a fast enough speed and your car will basically glide over it, leaving you with absolutely no grip as if you were racing on an ice rink. This means dealing with rain in Forza involves far more than just braking a bit earlier before turns. The puddles mean you have to actually rethink your entire racing line to take the soggy bastards into account. Speaking of racing lines, Forza's brilliantly in-depth assist system returns and is as detailed as ever. All manner of aids can be turned on and off, from braking and steering guidance to full and partial racing lines to stuff like ABS and other things that prevent your car from spinning around like one of Cesaro's opponents. There's a wee wrestling joke there.
That's the most amazing feat of strength I think I've ever seen!
The clever thing about these aids is that Forza 6 rewards you for turning off as many as you feel that you can. Every turned off assist adds to a credit bonus that pays out extra in-game currency whenever you finish a race, so the more help you refuse, the more money you make and the quicker you'll be able to buy the fastest, shiniest cars. It'd be all too easy to slap all the assists on and breeze through the game like a boss, but the promise of greater rewards leaves you with the feeling you're missing out if you don't up your game and turn some of them off. It's a brilliant way of encouraging players to come as far out of their comfort zone as possible and tweak the difficulty to just about what they can manage, which in turn makes races much closer and wins more satisfying. Again, this won't be anything new to Forza 5 fans, but in an age where developers often constantly tweak game modes for the sake of it, I'm glad Turn 10 stuck with that "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" policy here. One area where it possibly could have made improvements though is car customization. It's a wee bit frustrating that we're now 6 Forzas in and we're still using the same vector-based layer system to create decals. It's used to keep file sizes down and keep designs looking sharp, but we live in an age of broadband now and the designs all look pixelated up close anyway. Granted, there are some massively talented artists out there who can do magic with the in-game tools, making really impressive decals that look just like the real thing. But all this does is continue the class hierarchy that Forza customizers have forever found themselves in, where those who don't want to dedicate countless hours intricately putting together small shapes are at the mercy of those who do. Maybe I don't want a car with Lego Marvel superheroes on the back of it, but what else am I going to do? Spend 20 hours making my own? I ain't fuck. The solution is simple: let us upload our own images and slap them on our car. Make us upload them through OneDrive if you need to keep it on brand with Microsoft and all that, but just make it possible. I want a Celtic badge on my car. Look, here's the badge. Let me just put that on my car. Otherwise, if we need to do it in layers, then if nobody makes one, I never will, because this is the best I can do and it looks more like Celtic commissioned Picasso to design it. It's not out with the realms of possibility, you know. WWE 2K16 is letting players add their own uploaded images to created wrestlers, even letting them use them online. The next step for Forza then, in my eyes at least, is giving everyone a level playing field to design cars as they see fit. As it is, I'm stuck using the text tool to dump my website address on the side of my car as if I was a shit plumber. An element that has been massively improved though is the reward system. As I said before, Forza 5 was slated at launch for its focus on microtransactions and its overly stingy car buying system. Forza 6 is the biggest evidence that Turn 10 has been listening, as not only has it completely done away with any sort of microtransactions, it also chucks cars at you like it was a pantomime dame lobbing sweeties at kids in an audience. Every time you level up, which initially is every couple of races, you get a spin which earns you a new car, loads of money to buy one, or mods which are special cards that can be used to boost your car's stats or give you challenges that will earn you even more cash. By simply playing through the career mode, you'll find yourself gathering an impressive fleet of cars without really doing much. A far cry from the endless bin raking you had to do just to afford a wee banger in Forza 5. Of course, all this would be a waste of time if the game itself was rubbish, and thankfully that isn't the case here. Forza 6 may not be massively different from Forza 5, but that means the same satisfying gameplay remains present and accounted for too. Some people just aren't big fans of the slightly floaty feel of the handling, and it could be argued that the cars in Sony's Drive Club have more weight to them, but as someone who admittedly can't drive and doesn't know his Yaris from his Volvo, it still seems fine to me. Certainly better than that shite pun. It's gorgeous too. As with its predecessor, it happily rolls along at 60 frames a second and renders natively at 1080p. My captured card only grabs at 720p, but trust me. The only real visual shame, and you have to be a proper wank to let it bother you, is that the rear view mirrors are still running at 30 frames a second. You'll barely notice it during the game, but for those who aren't technical types, it basically means it's running half as smoothly as the rest of the game. It's more obvious when you slow it down to its individual frames. See how when you look at the mirror every second frame is frozen? That means it's running at half the frame rate. Right, now forget all that because this isn't fucking Eurogamer. That minor niggle aside, the game is lovely. The in-car view is a stuff of beauty, especially when the rain starts arsing it down and the window wipers start giving it big licks. I know I've never really been fussed about realistic racetracks, and Forza 6 isn't doing anything to change that. I love the courses set in real life locations like this amazing looking Rio track that's come back from an old Forza game. The only other thing I haven't touched on is the career mode. It's perfectly functional and does the job, but once again it's little more than Forza 5's career mode repurposed. Granted, it's now split into chapters, which is just a fancier way of breaking up the car divisions, and there are now one-off showcase races which have you doing a range of stuff, but for the most part you'll just be picking a car, racing it, then repeating this process over and over again. That's perfectly fine, mind, it's just nothing groundbreaking. The only major drawback Forza 6 suffers from is the greatness of Forza 5. Its predecessor nailed the gameplay and the graphics so effectively that it set a bar that has proven tricky to clear by any massive distance. After all, cars can't jump. Nevertheless, Forza 6 has still cleared that bar, albeit only just. Its wheels have sort of clipped the bar as it went over it. Look, just forget the fucking bar, that isn't the point. The point is, if you're either relatively new to the Forza franchise or you only played Forza 5 casually, Forza 6 will blow you away and keep you entertained for hours on end. If your time with Forza 5 went beyond the 30-40 hour territory though, Forza 6 won't feel so jaw-dropping. You'll have seen a lot of this before, even though what's new is fantastic. Is it the best racing game on Xbox One though? Well, it's certainly the best realistic one, definitely relegating Forza 5 to the $4.99 at CEX status that inevitably comes with older franchise installments. If it's serious racing you're after, Forza 6 is without a doubt the answer. But for sheer entertainment, I reckon its free roaming cousin Forza Horizon 2 is still the champ. This is a game that happily lets you drive a Ford Transit van through a field or race an old army jeep around a quaint Italian village. Don't get me wrong, Forza 6 lets you drive the same vehicles too, but it's a lot more fun doing it in the middle of the countryside rather than doing it on Daytona. If Forza 6 is for petrol heads, then Forza Horizon 2 is for dickheads. In a good way, I mean. But I digress. Forza 6 is the shiny new thing, not Horizon 2, and while it isn't reinventing the wheel, see what I did there? You'll still have a great time with it, as long as you don't mind a racer that takes itself a wee bit too seriously.